it sucks. Anyway, hey, good evening. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Live Before Lock. Yeah, apologies for the scheduling mishap. This is always a 7:15 show. It said 7 o'clock. I reached out to the fellas. We got that fixed. It is what it is. Big Top Dog, they always late. I called off for this. 7:15, man. If you called off for it, I don't know what to tell you. If you called off for this, you should have known 7:15 is the time. But we're here.
I don't think the 15 minutes would matter if you're calling off. I think you're just putting blame on us now. Apologies and all that, but come on.
Would you take an hour off? I'm sure you could push it till 8:15. But anyway,
get the good stuff anyway.
Yeah, glad to have you guys here. Yeah, don't let a couple rotten apples spoil the bunch, Spags. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do that all the time.
Ruben, Loughy's making a sandwich. That's a funny thing to say with the name Ruben. All right, I'm done. Come on, man. It was right there. How do I not take that?
I'm with you. Jimmy Ham and Cheese is also pretty.
CeeDee had to do. We shouldn't have started this show at all. It would have been better for everybody.
I got my lineups in. I don't need to do a show. Whatever. It's fine.
All right. Well, here's what we do have to talk about. Dominic with the $10 super chat. Thank you, Dominic. Matlock scored yesterday. Dude, can you believe that?
Wait, did he really? I didn't see that.
You didn't see it? Dude, my Twitter blew up. Matlock scored super early. He finished with 1 reception for 2 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, he scored yesterday.
Wow. I would feel like I should have seen that on my feed because like fat guy touchdowns people love, and there's nobody larger and thicker than Scott Matlock.
Dude, BR betting, you know that account? It was like, there's not a single person in this universe who bet Scott Matlock to score a touchdown. I said, hey, slow down there, pal. I bet there is, and I bet they're in the Stokastic universe for sure. But good stuff. I wish I bet. I told you I was going to bet him every single week. I literally forgot the day after I said that, and I haven't bet him since.
Never wrong, just too early. And you proved that right out immediately here on the show.
Yeah, man. Never wrong, just too early. Speaking of, man, I had a bet on Jaden Blue today, under 16.5 rushing. I looked at it. I was getting offered a 150% cash out or 150% cash out, right? So like 1.5x cash out pre-game, which you never see. I should have just taken it because now he's inactive.
Yeah, that's just lost EV, and normally you don't take the cash out, but this is the one time where you would have made money.
Well, it was at 8.5. It was at 8.5, and I bet it at 16.5. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta let this roll and see if he's out there today. But yeah, he's out. It's not that it's big news. It's not surprising. Schottenheimer was not really happy with him at all. He didn't mince words at all last week after that loss in Denver. I figured they'd bring Malik Davis up. I guess we could start with this. Well, let me start with this. If you don't mind, atone for your sins this evening. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down. Well, don't do that. There's no shelf life on this one. But definitely hit us with the thumbs up and subscribe. Appreciate you guys in advance. Do you think it makes a difference? I mean, sure, Malik Davis could get some work, but there's a lot of underpriced guys on this slate who are actually like real players on this slate.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you, where Jaden Blue's role was basically non-existent. So what is there left to replace? I suppose if Javonte Williams is like running poorly or gets hurt, the odds of somebody coming in, and having some upside is definitely there. But for right now, it's a clear bell cow role for Javonte. It's frankly not even a great matchup. Arizona's run defense has been pretty strong overall. Negative 0.07 EPA per rush allowed is one of the better marks in the league for a run defense. So I'm actually not crazy about Javonte in the spot relative to the ownership. But I get it with him because he gets endless work. He's getting, 4.3 red zone opportunities a game, 2.4 of which are inside the 10-yard line. Like, he's getting touches everywhere. He's getting the targets. Like, maybe Malik Davis could do something if the game gets out of hand, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Doesn't feel like it. I mean, it's a 3.5 point spread, 53.5 point total game. These can go in any direction, no doubt about that. But, we've seen that more often than not this year. But we're going to get into all of it. So appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for waiting until 7:15, which was, should have been the scheduled time. Bo Grizzly, $10 super chat. Thank you, Bo. Been using Tails for FanDuel picks, So props are live. Missouri cashed out $12.50 this year so far, and I don't bet big. Less than $10 bets. Mama Grizzly appreciates you helping her little pie. That made me uncomfortable, but the first part was great. And I appreciate you, man. And I'm glad you're loving Tails. Hopefully you're using the app as well. The app is awesome. So jump over there. But Spags, I always love to see that. People betting like sub $10 bets and cashing out $12.50. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I love when people call themselves a little boy as adult men that can gamble. That's also super my thing.
A little bear.
A little baby bear.
Oh, Grizzly, dude. Oh, you're right. Little boy.
Yeah.
But if it's Mama Grizzly, I just kind of assumed. I mean, his real name can't be Bo Grizzly.
No. Well, I mean, it's also odd because like when I first saw Mama Grizzly, I presumed he meant like his wife. And it's like, oh, like my wife's happy because we're winning some money.
But the little boy part threw me off.
Mommy. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
Thanks for super chat, though. We don't mean to, critique your life choices.
Oh, I think it's great, man. I'm just saying it made me, yeah. Anyway, let's make it happen. It's stage name. Oh, he did mean his wife. There you go.
There we go.
Bo, you can say whatever you want, man. We're just having fun with it.
I hope your wife doesn't call you her little boy, though. I think that, I don't think that's going well for anybody.
Yeah. No, there can't be. Yeah. Did my little boy bring home the bacon? Well, congrats, Bo. What's up?
Josh would go deeper on this in a way, and I would say I would too, but I know we're only 8 minutes into the video and we can't start making jokes about things that one might say to their little boy in a creepy.
We'll leave that to Josh. We'll say congrats to Bo, and that's awesome. And I'm glad you're loving Tails, man. That's why we made it. Literally, that's why we have it existing right now. Anyway, I ran the Sims. I think they're done. I actually had to run them right. Let me run them one more time because we just updated projections and ownership Spag. So I'll run these behind the scenes and we'll get into this a little bit. Let's get your overall just kind of overarching thoughts on this one, given that we have a big total here. In my opinion, guys like Brissett, who's actually, as you and I both like to say, has acquitted himself well in 2 games. Tough matchups against the Colts and the Packers. 2 solid outings. Trey McBride, to me, is underpriced. And a few other guys may not be underpriced, like in a traditional sense, but they're getting so much work. You got a Michael Wilson or a Zay Jones. They're at least on the field going up against the worst secondary not named the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's a very interesting slate, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I worry that how popular the take is going to be. And frankly, I'm curious how popular the take is going to be. But I love loading up on Cardinals in this game. And I talked about that on my stream this morning. Had some people popping into the comments on my Splash Play channel, kind of saying the same thing. Like, oh, I love building some 4-2 Cardinals builds. And I do too. But like the public loves the Cowboys. And, generally the data loves the Cowboys. And Monday night slate, no YouTube TV, ESPN. So people are going to be trying to get their action on gambling. I think people want to play the Cowboys, but like you run the sim, you're getting Jacoby Brissett as your highest owned captain, or at least you were before the latest update. You're getting a lot of Cardinal stacks. Like it's really, to me, a question of like the data saying play Cardinals because the matchup is so good. And frankly, the Cardinals defense is actually pretty decent on their side versus the public just thinks that the Cowboys are the Harlem Globetrotters. And I'm not sure that they're that good. I'm not sure that they want to pass as much as they have. Like Schottenheimer came out and said that he doesn't love that they're not winning right now, so something's wrong with the process here. I don't know, Loughy. Do you think like the people are just going to play Cardinal stacks and be happy? Because people have been loving playing Cowboys left and right.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of it. I do. I don't think it's wrong necessarily because, the slate, the difference between, I think, sometimes the public being on or anybody being on a side from a betting perspective and then looking at, DraftKings or FanDuel is a lot of it's just dependent on the price. Now, that's not the case with the public. Oftentimes the public will just take any price because they have no, real sensitivity to price when it comes to the betting market. But I don't think that's the case necessarily for DFS. Like I think in DFS, a lot of times prices will dictate where a lot of people go. Maybe not your super casuals, but I don't know how many super casuals there are in DFS anymore, if we're being completely honest. So like McBride's price at $9K, a guy that has a 30% target share since Brissett took over, 8 of the 15 red zone targets. It's just, and even Brissett, who's essentially priced as like an expensive backup, it's just funneling people there to me because those prices are, whether they perform or not tonight, those prices are objectively too cheap.
Yeah, Brissett's been amazing. I mean, he's technically, I think, averaging over 300 yards a game right now. He had one game of like 275, one over 300. And like you mentioned, McBride, too, he's my favorite play on the slate because he's also averaged basically 12 targets in these 2 games with Jacoby Brissett. And that doesn't include the red zone role that Loughy just mentioned. So those 2 guys to me are the first guys in almost every lineup I built tonight because I really like those plays. And I feel like I think people attack the Dallas side more and that passing attack more. But you know, the matchup really favors the Cardinals here, and Brissett probably due for some regression, but he's like not passing super accurately. He's just he's chucking a lot. I think that the Brissett stack looks really good. One caveat I would have, if we do think that, or if you were putting in lineups and you're like, wow, Brissett's getting force fed to me in the Sims. I see all the content creators today talking about Brissett and the Cardinal stack. One thing I will point out is I think there's volatility in the spot because Brissett's seeing pressure on 52% of dropbacks, and the Cowboys, for all their flaws, we kind of saw it, rear its ugly head the most against the Jets. They're getting pressure on 30% of dropbacks, 16% QB hurry rate, an 8% sack rate. So like if Brissett gets hit a lot, maybe things start to get weird, but I just love Brissett as a play. And I definitely played more into the positive side of the volatility as opposed to, the Cowboys really turning around as a defense today.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Now also, Jacoby Brissett may not have, Lamar Jackson type legs. He is capable of running if he has to. I'm not saying he wants to. I don't think he wants to, but there's a lot of guys like that. CJ Stroud, he's really not going to want to after yesterday. And, a bunch of these guys who I call them mobile quarterbacks, but not dual threat quarterbacks in the sense, like if they need to take off, they can, right? And he can. How much of a difference that makes today, I don't really know, but he's looked good enough and it's a good matchup. But the thing about Dallas too, it's like, I see a lot of people talking about how you have this Arizona defense, the run defense that's good. And it's a slightly above average run defense. It's an average overall defense, I think is fair to say. But also, you have to go out there and contend with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Ferguson, who has proven himself to be a very, very talented pass catching tight end. Like this is a team too, Spags, that has a ton of weapons. Now they're expensive, but Dallas, okay, fine. They highly underperformed in Denver. It's not the biggest surprise in the world. They put up 40 plus in all 3 home games this year. We know that they can score. Is it guaranteed? No, but they can go out there and put up a ton of points as well. And they can do it against, decent defenses.
Yeah, I mean, the total's 28 implied points for Dallas, a little bit above that. So you expect them to find, success today. But, I see a ton of ownership projected for Dak, for Javonte, for CeeDee Lamb. And it is a little bit lighter on the Cardinal side, I guess, Trey McBride aside. And certainly Brissett will be decently owned, but not as much as Dak Prescott. I'm just sort of intrigued by going Cardinals heavy, and the sim I just ran here, 4 out of the top 5 lineups are all Cardinals dominant. Four Cardinals in it. Cardinals onslaught with 5 ones coming up a little bit. So yeah, I'm very intrigued by the Arizona side. I think that my hope is people don't play it quite as much. But I would say certainly, Dallas a known quantity, and I agree. Like Arizona's defense, it is decent. I would say more close to average in the secondary than good. But for Dallas, the total's there. I just hope it's a Brandon Aubrey slate is really what I'm hoping more than anything.
The guy's ridiculous. He's amazing. But also with Brandon, he's had a couple crazy games that have skewed his fantasy totals, but still the majority of them have been like 6, 7, 8. You know what I mean? So can he have those insane type of games? Of course he can. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm of the impression here that if you're paying that much for a kicker, I mean, he's what's his price at?
5,400.
I guess it's not terrible, but yeah.
Your Ireland's 5K, so it's not a big gap, but I just am kind of hoping that it's tough because Aubrey's like the most public kicker on a showdown. Like it used to be Justin Tucker who would pick up 30% ownership on pretty much every slate, like more like 20 to 30 on every slate. Now Aubrey's kind of that guy. But I think there's a world where the Cardinals defense can stiffen up enough, stop drives, lead to field goals. And I'm hoping that sort of captures an outcome that people who want to jam in Javonte, people who want to jam in the receivers and Dak, maybe don't get to. So, this is probably just too specific for what I'm trying to play tonight, but that's definitely been an approach for what I'm trying to get into.
So let me ask you about CeeDee and Pickens, though, just to dig into this a little bit more. CeeDee Lamb's very expensive. Pickens is still up there in price, and I still don't think his price has necessarily come back down since CeeDee returned, right? And you might see it another week if he doesn't have, spike games where it's like, all right, CeeDee Lamb is back. He's garnering the bulk of the targets here. Obviously, it's hard not to like a guy like CeeDee Lamb. By the way, Will Johnson is active today, despite being on the injury report with that groin late in the week. What do you make of a guy like Pickens at his price point? Because a part of me feels like there may be some leverage if you captain George Pickens today.
Yeah, I think what stands out, and I agree with you that with Pickens, the bloom is off the rose a little bit because people, I think, got spoiled by the fact he basically had an endless opportunity role when CeeDee Lamb was out. And now that's not quite the case. The Cardinals do limit targets out wide pretty reasonably, only a 21% rate out wide compared to 55% slot targets. So that is something that you would think you benefit CeeDee Lamb. For Pickens, though, there should still be efficiency going against this team out wide because they're giving up a really high 0.5 EPA per target to receivers who are playing out wide, and that's where Pickens is getting the majority of that work. What does spook me a little bit is that CeeDee Lamb got some of the least amount of slot work that he's had this year last game. They basically split the slot role between him and Kevontae Turpin. You still have Ferguson, all taking a lot of slot targets. I do wonder if maybe CeeDee Lamb and Pickens both end up a little bit underplayed, rather, maybe a little bit overvalued because of the fact that the slot role is now not going to them. And Lamb, to me, people think the world of Lamb. I think he's like a slot forward receiver. I don't love him playing out wide too much. So I think the idea of moving to Pickens away from Lamb, or really trying Ferguson, trying Kevontae Turpin, who's playing that slot role too. I think there's reasons to try that because Lamb's going to be so owned. And even if people are playing Cardinals heavy builds, Lamb's probably the cowboy they put in.
Super chat, Tom Chambers. Thoughts on Arizona defense versus all other cheap Arizona plays? Sims seems to be a fan of the D. I don't see. Yeah, me neither, Tom. I mean, maybe you get a little bit of them. You get a little bit in the event that something crazy happens. Personally, I still like some of the cheaper Arizona players more than I like the Arizona D. I know they're 3,400, and I know Michael Wilson hasn't been spectacular, but you know what? The guy still has, in the 2 games with Brissett, 9 targets. That's one more than Marvin Harrison Jr., by the way.
Sad.
I know. But, he's like an 80% snap guy. He's going to run the bulk of routes. He's about the same price. Brissett has 6 targets inside the 10 in these 2 games. And, 3 of them are Trey McBride. 2 of them are Michael Wilson. So he does still have a role. It's not pretty, but I prefer that because it's this Dallas defense. Honestly, I feel the same way about Zay Jones. I just think if this were one of those ugly games, sure, but then the Cardinals defense wouldn't be as cheap as they are. Is it possible? Yeah. And I sound like a broken record when I say that stuff because, people in the chat on the deeper dive yesterday, Spags, before the main slate were like, yo, play Carolina defense. And I'm just going, I'm good, man, but go for it. I'm good. Yeah, joke's on me, right? Like Carolina defense goes out there and puts up. Did Tennessee have 2 defensive touchdowns, by the way?
They had a return from DK and a defensive touchdown.
Right. Okay. So technically 2. Well, in the sense of like DST.
Yeah. They had 2 scores. Yeah.
I never would have seen that coming, right? Never in a million years are you convincing me that I'm playing the Titans. I probably got a couple of them with all the lineups I had, but you get what I'm saying. I just think this matchup against an already bad and banged up Dallas defense, I think I'd just rather take my shots there.
I like the defenses whenever they're underplayed. I mean, we had the same debate last week with the Chiefs and the Commanders game. And, I was one of those things where I'm like, look, I'm getting the Commanders and Chiefs and, in particular Commanders D in the sim. And just when a defense is never played, or really not being played at all on a slate, I'm willing to take some shots there. I think especially if you're doing a 150 max, getting some of the defenses just seems like a good move. And it was one of those things too, where like, again, the first half, it went the way you expected in the second half, but it was like Commanders defense. If you were playing it at all, a captain, let alone a lineup, there were just so few entries with it. So I'm still willing to play a defense, even though like I get it. And I agree with your takes. Like, Wilson ran 60 or played 60 snaps last week. Zay Jones played 40 plus. These guys are playing a lot more than it seems because they don't really do a whole lot out there. So the cheap receivers work, but I just never want to write off defenses because like there's some slates where people write off defense and it's like that's what you needed to win. And I think on these kind of high scoring total games in particular, people write off defense a little bit too much, even though, like nobody playing it inherently kind of makes it a better play than it would be.
Yeah, and that's fair for sure. I just, again, I certainly don't look at them as anything that I'm prioritizing. I'll put it to you that way. That'd be the simplest way for me to put it. If I get to a little bit of them, sure. I get that's fine. I'd actually prefer, how much is the Cowboys defense?
They are 3,800. Yeah.
I'd rather just the Cowboys defense. As bad as they are, like Jacoby Brissett is still somebody that, like he's still Jacoby Brissett. I guess what I'm saying is I find it more likely that Jacoby Brissett turns back into a pumpkin than Dak Prescott at home, where he's just always been fantastic, is terrible. But your point's well taken, Spags.
And, and Loughy, for you, the head coach of the Cardinals, somebody left this in my comments and now it's top of mind. Head coach of the Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, former DC for the Eagles, and he shut down Dak a lot when he was the Eagles coach. So, could he carry that over?
Maybe. Someone said like Cardinals are 7-1 against Dallas or something over the past however many, but that's got to go back far because they're not playing them every year, right? So
yeah,
a lot. Also, Jonathan Gannon's only been the coach since what, like 2023?
Yeah, I think we're on year 3.
Right? Because they lost in February 2023. So yeah, like 2023. So I don't know. You guys do with that as you please. That's what I'd say. But to me, I'll probably cap them. Chris Ryan, $20 super chat. Thanks, man. Took down the NFL spy last night. Appreciate all the content over the years. Life-changing night for me. Hell yeah, man. Just hand-built using the ownership projections. Thank you for all for making me a better DFS player. That's amazing, man.
That's an impressive tournament to win too. That's a lot of the luminaries in the space, people that, you've seen around for a while play the spy as like their only tournament. So that's an awesome win. Very, very high skill to win that.
Mama Ryan, happy for her little boy.
But my baby took on the spy.
Brandon Wagner, thank you, sir. If you're going to boost a guy like Zay in the Sims, how much over the field do you guys look for in 150 set? I just don't want to overdo it. I guess he's saying how much over the field are you looking to get? Well, it really depends. I mean, let's say what's Zay's ownership right now here? Okay, so what's Zay's ownership? I assume we're talking
7% for flex, no cap.
Yeah, man. So it's a personal preference, but like if I got 2x the field there, I'd be okay with it. 3x, you want to get to 20%? Like you really like a guy like Zay Jones today? You really feel decent about him? He's 7%, you get to 20%. You're essentially 3x the field, Spags. I think that's kind of what he's asking. My answer is you don't need to get too crazy with that type of stuff. If you got to 20%, you'd still be well above the field.
Yeah. I mean, the sim is giving me at least 11% exposure in the top 150 with 25% to first. Like I would generally agree with Loughy. Like 2x, 3x is probably enough. You sometimes may want to go nuts on a player like a Zay Jones, but usually that's not the move you want to make if you are 150 maxing, because like Zay Jones is not one of those guys that has a lot of upside in the situation. But like obviously if he hits, great, be above the field by 2x, 3x. Don't go nuts because you don't want Zay Jones deciding your night.
Our friend James Popplewell is back. Loughy, only have 15 minutes. This guy takes breaks during work, right? And every single primetime show asks if we could show him the most dupes. James, next time we will require a super chat. I'm just kidding. Here they are. If you can see them, James, they're on the screen. Thanks for tuning in. Here, I'll zoom in pretty far for you. There you go. I'm not going to read them off, but you can take a look for yourself. If you want to pause that, I'll go down a few more, and then you can take a look at those. That's like the top 6 or 7. I said that earlier, and chat started going off on the 6-7 shit.
6-7.
Just pure brain rot. All right.
Kids are allowed dumb
Go
things.
ahead.
That's unfair.
What's that?
Kids can have dumb things. We had dumb things with weird kids. I drew the stupid S thing. They can have 6-7.
I told you, I'm getting older and I hate everything. It's not their fault. It's mine. How many times do I have to tell you this?
It's true. You have said it before.
What were you drawing, Spags? What were you graffitiing?
The S thing where you draw like the and then you connect it and it makes an S.
Yeah, that thing's awesome.
Yeah, that thing's awesome, but that's like stupid though. It's stupid. Like
I just taught my 7-year-old niece how to draw that last week.
See, there you go, and you still remember, I bet, how to do it because like the number 6-7.
It's one of the only things I can draw. Yeah, but thank you, Mason. He said, "Hey, the S thing's not stupid." Exactly, it's not stupid. Pretty cool. Or the thing, do you remember it was like the loops that connected to each other? Did you ever draw that? It was like 2. I'll have to show you one day. Anyway, there's your most duped lineups. We can go back to, hold on a second. By the way, 6-7 must come up often in the NBA, right?
I think that's the whole thing is like LaMelo, people, because he somehow is tied to the meme. I actually don't know the full lore that goes into it, but I believe that's
I just meant because of their height. So whenever they're talking about a guy, they're like, yeah, he's 6'7".
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
6'7", and you got to say it every time.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you guys have your fun. Captain exposure. Here we go. We still got 30 plus minutes until lock. If you guys have any questions, again, always feel free to hit us up in chat. Trey McBride, Spags, 18%. I'm on board. I mean, CeeDee Lamb. I usually try and get weird with at least some captain spots. I don't know if I intend on it. I guess the one spot, and by the way, I'm okay with this, would be Harrison, where we're getting 2x the field right now. 11% on 5% captain ownership. I know he hasn't been targeted, but I said it this morning. His matchups actually have been relatively tough. This is the easiest matchup he's had all season. I'll get the 10% Marvin Harrison. I have no issues with that. But once you get below like Javonte, I guess Jake Ferguson's fine. But once you get below that, there really aren't any good-looking contrarian options here. The one I'd consider is Michael Wilson, but Michael Wilson. Jeez, dude, my brain stopped working. I just short-circuited. I would consider him, but it's really tough to get there to any of these guys. Do you see some that I'm missing here at low ownership?
At low ownership, I don't think it's the strongest group of plays necessarily. If I'm taking a shot at anybody at flex who's low owned, let me see where the number is for. Turpin's up to 20, so he's not even low owned. Higgins is probably the one I like the most. Higgins is playing a good amount of snaps. I think he's playing currently 21 snaps a game, 9.4 routes a game. I believe the last time they played, he had 30 snaps. Elijah Higgins is out there a good amount, and the matchup overall versus Dallas, it's soft everywhere, but it is soft at tight end in particular. So I think Higgins is one guy where I like McBride a lot. I think if McBride doesn't hit his ceiling, it's possible that the touchdown or maybe, a touchdown or a big play or two flow Higgins' way as opposed to McBride. So he's the value play. Sim-wise, I think you're getting with the field on it at a 1K salary, 7% exposure in the top 150 for Stokastic's lineups, Fields at 8. But I got more than that of Higgins because I think he's a stronger play today than it'll seem, and he's a good pass catcher. But it's not a great value slate. I'll give you that. Like anybody who's decent, like Turpin or Michael Carter, those guys are all 20%, so they're not super sneaky.
Right. Yeah, the only reason I'd say it's not a terrible value slate, like, okay, let me give you here. Think of it this way, right? This would be a terrible value slate if it was like the Baltimore Ravens against Arizona or something like that. But because it's Arizona and Dallas, and both of these teams have 25 plus point totals, essentially, there's always a path for those. Like, if this game ends up shooting out, there's going to be a path for some of these guys by default, right? Zay Jones, by default, as long as he's out there. Wilson, as long as he's out there. These type of guys are just going to have some chance. And some weeks you don't really see that. Even the Arizona backfield. I mean, what a mess this is. You look at our exposure here. You got 25% to Bam Knight. You have 17% to Michael Carter. We even have 7% DeMercado. The hell are you supposed to do with that outside of spray and pray?
Yeah, DeMercado, I was seeing him in the sim this morning with Stokastic data and was like, I get why he's coming in. His role, I mean, he was down to 0 snaps the last game. I think he was healthy in that, but 3 the game before that. DeMercado has absolutely fallen out of favor, but it's totally possible he gets back in there, so I get it. I do think, and I like Bam/Zonovan Knight on the slate because he's the goal line back. I've liked him going back to the Jets days. Like, he always kind of graded out well in some of the underlying data that I had. He hasn't hit anywhere, obviously, but now he's got a decent role. But the last time the Cardinals played, it was basically dead even for snaps with Carter and Bam Knight. So I think those guys, you get away with like trying to play similar amounts. Field's going to be more on Zonovan Knight because I think the assumption is that the projections look better and his salary being higher probably makes people think that he's more locked in play. People also saw Michael Carter get cut last week and they're like, wait a minute, he's still on the team. They might not grasp that was happening for like roster move reasons to move him down to the practice squad and then back up. So I think the running back's really interesting. I didn't like go nuts on Carter. I'm mostly with the field on him at about 20% expected. But I think that Zonovan Knight, like if you go nuts on Knight and don't play Carter, I think that would be a mistake in a portfolio if you're playing even a 20 max, let alone 150.
What about DeMercado?
DeMercado, I think it's just ass, but like I get why the sim's given. Like I think he's done in this team. Like that fumble, he has not recovered from that in terms of his role on the team. But in a sim, I get why you're getting him just because, if Carter and Knight are both going to be owned, they could just go like, well, these guys messed up. Maybe they fumbled today. It's all in the picture because these aren't real running backs. They shouldn't be playing right now. We should all be talking about $10,000 Trey Benson and how excited we are to play him. Instead, we're playing these assholes.
That was weird. The whole stream just went.
So when I was like, boy, did I stun you with my Trey Benson 10K?
No, and what's crazy is that this stream had been flawless up until then. That was very strange. The whole thing just cut out. I blame these bots in chat. But all right. I mean, I think I caught 90% of what you said.
Yeah, that's enough. That's more than enough, in fact. Easily.
But all right, so we have some of these cheap guys in here, right? And Goody, where did you see 20% Davis at captain? Certainly not here. I'm not sure where maybe. So we got what, 3%? Even that's, I mean, the thing is, Spags, he's 300 in the captain spot. And Schottenheimer has spoken glowingly of him. I don't really want, like, I get the 3%, whatever. We have 10% at flex. I'm fine with that. I probably won't change that. Let's see what these lineups look like with Malik Davis at captain. Now I just need to see it because they've got to be insane.
Yeah, just cramming all the studs would be my guess.
Well, I don't know. Yes and no. The reason I say yes and no is because if it ends up, like, if you take Malik Davis lineups and you just jam all the studs, there'll be a lot more duped than you think.
Oh, yeah. If you use all the salary, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right. If you use up the salary. All right, let's see. Hold on. Sim ROI. I sorted by Malik Davis at captain. Lamb, Dak, Brissett, McBride, Bam Knight. Okay, I don't hate that at all. Malik Davis, Aubrey, Lamb, Prescott, Brissett, McBride. All right. Actually, the ones that are the favorite, I don't actually mind at all. I mean, look, you want to talk about threading a needle. This has to be perfect. But
I wouldn't play Javonte.
No?
No, because no, he would have to get hurt, I think, and leave the game for Malik Davis to hit at captain.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's just unless they just route them.
I guess. I mean, but then all the studs are making the lineup still, though. So like the studs have to be in a competitive enough game to pay off to hit the flex to some extent. You get me on a Malik Davis build. I don't think Javonte in the flex with it would make logistical sense
That's
for
that's fair.
your line of tell the story.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so let's take another look at something here. Marvin Harrison at captain. Where are you at on him at captain? Because if he really is only going to be around 5% there, I'm more than willing to get a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, I got him a good amount. I mean, he's an overall in about half my lineups today because I boosted everything flex and a little bit of captain. I prefer him more in the flex in a Brissett captain build, generally even a McBride captain build. But I agree that like Harrison, and I think you said it before, like Harrison has opportunities. I mean, he's still getting 1.4 deep targets a game. Brissett has proven to be a better deep ball thrower so far than Kyler Murray is. And really, honestly, Brissett's probably due to run cold because he's hitting crazy rates on his deep throws, thrown deep 6 times a game, 1.2 EPA on those plays, 58% catchable ball rate on his deep throws. So he's like killing it on his deep shots. For Harrison, all it takes is hitting a couple of those and that could pay off, even if he is getting, about half the targets right now of McBride. So yeah, I like Harrison a lot. I think, again, I prefer him with Brissett at captain where you're playing that build of just Brissett goes nuts, passes for 350 here and has like a Russell Wilson kind of game that he had versus the Cowboys. But Harrison's in play for both. And I think the opportunity and how owned Trey McBride's going to be too. Like Harrison, if he hits, he pulls directly away from whatever ownership Trey McBride's going to have. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, McBride, Harris, it's just that if he's really only 5% a captain against this defense, I think the sentiment on Marvin Harrison Jr. right now is just overwhelmingly low, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be willing to take some shots there for sure, but we'll see how that plays out. I think at the end of the day, you have a talented guy who is underwhelmed, but also has the best matchup he's had all season. So I'm willing to take some shots. How much captain are you willing to get on guys like Brissett and Dak Prescott in what could easily be a shootout?
I mean, I got a lot more Brissett than Dak just because I worry that Dak gets a little bit overplayed. But Dak's your top projected guy in the slate, or at least as of the last sorting by me of projection here. He was. I get why he would be owned a good amount, but even the sim gave me less of Dak at captain. Fields at 16%, gave it to me at mid-9. In terms of the flex ownership, a little bit higher than the field, but I think Dak to me feels more like a flex play. I mean, with a Cowboys captain or a Cardinals captain, I think that's fine. I just don't want to try to, it's hard to pay for it because like if Dak hits a captain, you probably need 2 pass catchers to come along with that. And then you're spending an ungodly amount of money if you play CeeDee Lamb and Pickens or Lamb and Ferguson. It's so expensive to play Dak the way that you want to play a QB captain hitting. I don't know. I'm not like in love with Dak on the slate. Like I faded him in some lineups too for the skill position guys. I just think he gets overplayed a little bit here relative to the matchup and, a lot of options to play with that are going to score PPR points, perhaps more than Dak gains touchdowns.
So then here's my question. If you're fading him for some of the other higher end guys, what do those builds end up looking like? You know what I mean? What do those builds look like if you're fading him for some of the other guys, but you don't have Dak? Like, are these heavy Jacoby Brissett lineups?
Yeah, heavy Cardinals builds mostly is what I tried to play into today. So a lot of like Brissett captain with one of the RBs, McBride, some other piece, Lamb, Pickens, whatever, but just playing it more so through the pass catchers. Because I think for Dak to hit, he has to have pretty big touchdown upside. And I think touchdowns, I'm hoping that touchdowns might not flow as freely for him. He'll get yardage, but not actually get into the end zone. So that's sort of the way that I tried to play it today, which is like anything else we talked about. That's a little bit thin. Like it's a tough needle to thread. But it's relative to the slate. I feel like I'd rather pay 10.8 for CeeDee Lamb than 10.4 for Dak. I'd rather, if not paying that, pay 8,600 for Brissett, who I think has similar fantasy upside, even though like Dak's a great real life QB this year in terms of how he's playing. And he's obviously been great for fantasy production, but his fantasy lines aren't like, I don't know, like Dak usually is not a guy where like, oh, you had to have Dak this week. Usually you had to have the stack with him. So in a showdown, I think you should not play Dak and try to play some other guys.
We have to talk about Javonte Williams here because you mentioned it earlier in the show. It's not the best matchup, right? At all. But is it Malik Davis that gets more work, or does Javonte Williams, who's already handling almost 75% of running back carries on this team before and after Miles Sanders went down, does it just end up being a 85% snap share for Javonte with Jaden Blue ruled out or as an inactive today? Because I think that's definitely possible too.
I think it should just be mostly Javonte. Like, I'm sure they like Malik Davis, but if they liked Malik Davis more, they would probably have played Malik Davis and not just kept Jaden Blue on the roster for as long as they have. I know people might have some nice priors from Malik Davis because he looked okay a couple times last year when it was a pretty open backfield, but I just like Javonte's been good. Why would they move away from Javonte for a guy that wasn't even active? I don't usually view things that way, but I could see why people would.
I get, yeah, but again, like you're saying, they brought Malik Davis up from the practice squad like 3 times now.
Yeah, but that's because they fell out of love with Jaden Blue. It's not because they want to give him real work, I don't think.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying they've reverted him back to the practice squad.
Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. I thought you were saying like they brought him up 3 times. They love him. I'm like,
I'm saying in order to bring him up, it means you must have sent him down.
Right. Yeah, you're pretty much willing to lose him every time too, because like somebody could sign him off the practice squad if they wanted.
Right. Exactly. Jaden Blue, I mean, he hasn't just fallen out of favor. It's at a point now where it's not great. Not great for old JB.
Would you have played him at all if you were on the slate, just with like the negative reinforcement he's maybe getting from the coaches? Because I thought that was a vaguely live play that they give him a few touches and go like, show us something. But it's like, no, they just made him inactive. But if you were on the slate, I would have been curious. Malik Davis, I'm not.
It's funny you said that because when I placed that bet today, the under 16.5, which clearly was the right read. I mean, 2 is 2 right. He's inactive, but there was a part of me going, yeah, if they say just go out there and prove us that you deserve to be getting some of these snaps, which I really didn't think that would be the case. And ultimately it wasn't, but yeah, I considered that as well, Spags. But you know what? The only way I think I would have done that is if they did not bring Malik Davis back up. If they kept Malik Davis on the practice squad, you could have really convinced me that you have some decent, there's some decent value there.
Yeah, I agree.
So someone just said Kyler Murray is starting tonight.
He's literally been ruled out.
What? Michael, Blue is out. Correct. That's what we were saying. That's what we were saying. Yep. Hold on one second here. Yeah, I wanted to, because I knew he wasn't playing. I wanted to make sure he was officially inactive. Yeah, he's fully inactive.
Yeah, so that guy deserves a ban from chat. We don't lie about news here in chat. That's one of the most important things.
Right? Especially with only 15 minutes to go. Unbelievable. Massive violation.
Poor etiquette.
Do you want to go over some of your exposures? I mean, I've thrown some of ours up here, and mine are very similar to this. I'm just finishing my lineups up right now. And no, I don't know if we'll have another ownership update. Was it Obi-Wan? I don't know. I don't really think we'll need one. No, it was Goody. I don't think we'll need one, man.
Yeah, and if you're using the sim, you don't really need an ownership update because it assigns the pool ownership at the same rate the ownership projections would be anyway. But yeah, I mean, ownership I think is kind of pretty locked in at this point.
But anyway, your overall exposures. Do you have anybody you're getting weird with here?
I forced in more Brandon Aubrey. I just kind of feel like my belief, and this really comes down to how do you want to play stuff. A lot of times I'll just kind of take whatever the sim gives me. Today I had some time and I didn't think the lineups were going to move around too much in terms of who was available, so I built lineups in advance and tried to handle a little bit more. I went Brandon Aubrey pretty heavy. Got him 10% at captain, including 33% in the flex. I just like him in general. I do hate playing a ton of the kicker who does end up overowned a lot in slates because people know him and he's got a huge leg. But I think Aubrey to me represents a way to say that the Cowboys struggle a little bit. They still get success because they've been such a great offense. And obviously the total's 28 points. Like they have to score somehow. But I think people think like 28 points means, oh, they scored a bunch of touchdowns. It's possible that 28 points could mean that they're just moving the ball a lot, but then drives stall and then field goals happen. I'm willing to embrace that volatility here overall. But overall, my highest exposed guys, I got the most Trey McBride. Jacoby Brissett was number 2. Zonovan Knight is actually my 3rd highest. Played him some at captain, played him more in the flex. CeeDee Lamb, I'm playing a good amount of pretty much with the field at captain and the flex. But I think for me, just as like I mentioned enough times here, and again, this is the way that I want to play it. You guys can certainly follow your own hearts and fade me at all your joy. But like, I think that for the slate, I want to play more Cardinals because my guess is that Cowboys get overplayed relative to this matchup. And people know the Cowboys defense sucks, but I don't know if they know the Cardinals are as good as they are, you know, even with the volatility risk and Brissett taking a ton of pressure.
So that's an interesting thought though, because you earlier in the day talked about how chat was feeling a certain way in your shows. And I've had a lot of the same comments in the shows that I've done, but also that the public is on Dallas. So you're essentially saying that you're on board with all the comments you got in chat.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the people who replied to me, and you know, this is not usually the way it goes, where if I say something and I see it in the chat a bunch, whether it's here on Stokastic or on my own channels, I'm like, well, fuck, I must be chalkier on this than I think. But in this case, I just went, la, 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 la. I want to play the Cardinals. And I chose to do that side because I just think people love the Cowboys. I think people really think the Cowboys are this great team. And I think they are a team that is playing incredibly aggressively on offense, but has a great many flaws. And the defense, like if you drop back as often and create as many air yards and passing opportunities and also bump the pass rate up, where now the Cardinals are a pass rate over expectation team since Brissett took over, like I think it's a spot where they should just destroy the Cowboys through the air, whether the Cowboys keep up or not. I mean, the total would say they should.
By the way, Goody, I see what you're saying where you're talking about Malik Davis getting 20% captain in the 20 max. Go heavy uniques there, man. Because Spags, I see what's happening. The highest simmed ROI lineups are Malik Davis lineups on this last run that I'm seeing a lot of those. If you're running like a 50,000 man in the sims, because the one I ran on screen here is 25, but the one I have on the other screen is 50. It's a lot of Malik Davis lineups up top, but still when I run it on 2 uniques there's 170 lineups I favored, I only have 2.5%. Malik Davis at captain. So it's one of those things where these lineups, like if you look at the cash percentage is very low, but the win percentage is very high, right? Essentially like there's no dupes and they have a pretty solid win percentage. But the cash percentage is going to be very low as a result. So that's why you absolutely got to go in and run some uniques there.
Yeah, that's really important to note because I would honestly say straight away, you don't usually want to take the top 20 lineups you're getting from any public product unless you're kind of changing an underlying assumption. But at the very least, putting uniques on allows you to be different from everybody else taking the exact same lineups. The sims will be a little bit different with each person running it, but yeah, just be mindful of that stuff. And Loughy always talks about uniques, and listen to Loughy. When in doubt in life, listen to Loughy.
Well, yeah, it's just, you know, I wouldn't go that far, but I would certainly say that, you know, you want to make sure that you're aware of your exposures, and the way that the sims work sometimes is, yeah, you're going to get some weird lineups like that. So, you know, you just got to be careful with that and pay attention to it. Someone said, Spags, great call on Tracy yesterday. I did hear you say that on Live Before Live.
Yeah, I hate him.
Yeah.
I you know, Loughy, you know, doing these shows, like we'll give our honest takes for the most part, but we understand, having done this. I mean, Loughy even longer than I have, but I've been doing this for 7 years on camera. I know at this point that like I have to be aware of the multitude of outcomes that can occur. But boy, I fucking hate Tyrone Tracy, and I'm glad that he didn't hit because the team hates Tyrone Tracy too. Like they stopped playing him, so there was a lot of Singletary out there yesterday. But yeah, that ended up not being as chalky of a play as it seemed too, because of everything else on that slate opening up. It was a great slate though. I enjoyed that slate yesterday.
Yeah, it was nice. Very fun. I had a great day because I had a bad week last week. So nice little bounce back there. But Monangai I did not even cap him. I was like, I said, it's the Bengals. Let it ride. Let it ride, man. And what a game from him, huh?
I will say, and the thing that killed me the most in lineups was Odunze putting up the 0, because I played a lot. I mean, I've said it in my Discord, said it on the content I did. I was playing like Bears, Bengals, insanely high amounts, and Odunze putting up a 0 in a game where there's like 90 points. I was like, are you fucking, how is this possible for a stone cold 0? But people will go DJ Turner Island, and I hate individual matchups and I don't care about it.
That was pretty shocking, to be honest with you. Pretty shocking. And I loved DJ Moore, but I liked him alongside Odunze. It wasn't, one over the other by any stretch. That was just a really crazy game, man. Didn't make any sense.
Zacchaeus putting up 20, never the way a slate's supposed to go, but boy,
nope.
They were slinging it.
They certainly were. Anyway, any questions you guys have, let us know. We still got some time. And as always, you guys know how it goes. You ever want to get access to the Sims and all of this, go ahead and just click the link down below. Place a live bet during the games, and grab the free month of Sims. This one was awesome. Bang, just started using the tools for free after I signed up for Caesars. Got a free month of core Sims and already won my first tournament. Like, you can't beat this stuff, man. There's so many of these. Got the Sims free after signing up for BetMGM. Submitted the first 4 and boom. Pedro, been watching Loughy and crew for a while. Play low stakes for fun. Got a month of Sims free. 2 weeks later, this happened. Like, it's just, there's no better way to do it. Use the link in the description. Sign up for any of those books and just follow the steps, man. That's all you got to do. That's it. It's simple. But anyway, Spags, I will show some people some other exposures that we've got going on here. At Flex, I'm going to sort by lowest salary here and just give you guys an example. Hold on a second. 10%. Davis at that price point is clearly just like the one guy the Sims are getting to a decent amount of. Lipke, Higgins, Schoonmaker, a little bit of Turpin at $2,000, 3% Dortch, Flournoy, Michael Wilson, and Cardinals D. By the way, I tamped that down a bit. I capped Cardinals defense in case anyone cares or was wondering. I capped them and I capped the Cowboys defense. So, yeah, just so you know. Anybody else down here we haven't talked about?
I mean, Lukey, Schoonmaker, I don't think are legit exciting plays or anything, but I think what you're seeing when you have this much exposure going to cheap guys is that, and it's that kind of slate too, where you have a lot of skill position guys you want who are expensive. The cheap guys might be a thing that opens up the exact, ceiling lineup you need. And it might not even matter if Davis or Lukey, like we've seen it before. It doesn't happen often, but like a cheap player in a showdown gets 1 point, even 0 points. And then you need to just get the nuts around that. So I think being unafraid of the value plays, even if they don't feel pretty good, and that includes Lukey. I like Higgins the most, but it doesn't matter. Just take whoever you get in the sim, because it probably means that the sim thinks you need that guy just to open up everything else.
Yeah, Del Toro, I have YouTube TV too. I also have ESPN Plus. I mean, is it going to be on ESPN Plus?
No, it's on only the other new app they have, where like if you get the WWE pay-per-views on your ESPN app, then you get this. But I don't think with ESPN Plus you get it. You just use StreamEast. I don't know if Stokastic wants me to say it, but StreamEast.ga, NFLBite.com is another one. Those are ones that collect streams.
Yeah, that's horse shit though.
It is. But, it's because ESPN's asking for too much money. Like YouTube pushes back because they don't want to get killed by carriage fees. So I think YouTube is mostly on the consumer side with this, and ESPN's trying to hold their feet to the fire. So we'll see how it goes.
That's upsetting. I mean, I'll figure a way out to watch it for sure, but you'd like to not have to deal with that. Anyway, Living in Time TVA. I'm not reading that whole name. The sim sounds like AI the way people refer to it. It's not AI, dude. You're just simulating a contest. That's all. It actually makes a heck of a lot of sense. Josh Duck, can you show FanDuel exposures? I don't have that pulled up. I can show you the FanDuel boom bust tool if you'd like, though. Give you the FanDuel top stacks and showdowns tool. How about that?
I'll speak for him. Yes, that's more than enough.
I mean, it's a good tool.
It is.
All right, here we go.
Do you think Dortch plays? Somebody's asking in chat. I don't. He played like less than 10 snaps the last time he played, so I don't know why he would.
It's unlikely.
Yeah.
There you go. Optimal captain, Dak, Brissett, McBride, all of them.
I don't think it's on screen, Loughy.
Oh, my fault. Thank you.
Sure.
How's that?
You got it.
Filibuster for me for a second here. Let me just knock these out real quick.
As you can see some of the FanDuel numbers on screen for you beautiful FanDuel people on there. You got a lot of captain optimal. Dak Prescott, not surprising. Jacoby Brissett, number 2, 19% captain. I still would advocate for him today. Trey McBride, my boy. I'm barely fading him at all today in any lineups, but he's a 10% optimal rate at captain, so he's your number 3 guy. Definitely a pretty big gap, though, between these top 3 and really the top 2 QBs and everybody else here. Javonte Williams, almost 10. CeeDee Lamb, 8%. Surprised to see Lamb that low. But the price tag's pretty expensive on FanDuel today. But there you go. Use it up, FanDuel people. I know you guys feel underserviced sometimes, and I apologize for that because I am very DK brand loyal. But Loughy's literally giving you the intel here with a few minutes to build lineups, so make it count.
Yeah, I'm not brand loyal at all. It's just, a lot of times we end up talking DraftKings. That's all. But
I'm just playing on DraftKings. Like, I can't do 2 sites. I don't have.
That's what I mean. Especially not when I'm doing these shows. That's what makes it really difficult. Is doing these shows and trying to make all of that and juggle all of that shit at the same time. But I hopefully this is valuable. And I mean the top single game in Showdown tool is awesome. It's just we don't always have time to go over all of that.
And as Loughy's interviews, a lot of the Millie Maker winners have pointed out too, I think in particular last year, a lot of them used the boom bust tool to kind of come up with their initial takes. The guy I know who won with James Cook, remember he talked about that with you, where he saw James Cook had a certain optimal rate. And he was like, the guy's not being played at all. Played him, won $1 million. That won't happen every time you use a boom bust tool, but that's sort of the upside you get from using that to kind of figure out how your puzzle for lineup building is. Hopefully that was enough time for you to get your lineups.
We're in. Appreciate it.
All right, there we go.
No, it's true though. That was Rick. Bunt cake. He goes by Bunt Cake. He was talking James Cook last week too. Like if you had James Cook who was pretty low owned, he oftentimes just happens to be the guy that you need. It's very odd, but it's because why? It's because Josh Allen can always do it, but then you just have these insane games from a guy like James Cook. So I do think Showdown's a lot different in that respect, though. It doesn't mean that a Malik Davis can't be an optimal captain or something, Spags, but it's also it's tougher to do that than just like get a couple really good players who are low owned on a main slate in maybe tougher matchups perceived, because Carolina had a couple big stops against running backs, and then everyone just kind of assumed like, okay, Carolina is good against the run now, which clearly wasn't the case.
Showdown to me is like if you found somebody's suitcase and they had like a little rolling combination thing on it, and you just had to guess like what that combination is, and like maybe you have a little bit of inkling, like people love the number 7, but ultimately that's sort of what Showdowns are. And I think more people out there should be aware of the fact like you could build the perfect lineup that fits the game theory or whatever, and you'll still lose in Showdown because it'll take one player going over the hump in the last possible drive. It's the joy and the pain of Showdowns, and being aware of that will save you a lot of pain and maybe give you some joy.
Yeah, people think I'm crazy. I do not look at my lineups once throughout a game during Showdowns.
Oh, it'll torture you. Like the day Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles, I had an unduped lineup fading Rodgers, and I was like, oh shit, like this might have a shot, because I was in solo first place until the third quarter, and then Zach Wilson came in, threw a touchdown to Garrett Wilson, and I was like buried immediately. But it's like you have that hope, and if you have that hope, it's gonna hurt a lot more when $400,000 flows away from you.
Yeah, I know. I had that last year. Yeah, it was like 38,000, and I checked. I never check, and I check. It's like 30 seconds left in the game. I'm chopping with a couple people, and it was the Eagles-Falcons game. I've told these guys the story before, and Saquon dropped the ball that would have, and I had Saquon captain with Hurts at flex. Saquon dropped what would have iced the game. They would have just kneeled it out. And then Kirk Cousins drove down the field on 4 plays and they won it. And I went from like, $40K to $300. So that's why I don't look. It's not worth it. I didn't even check my lineups until like the final minute of the Chiefs and Bills game yesterday. Now, I do look for some late swap opportunities coming up in that 4:00 wave of games. But once that starts, I try and enjoy football. I try and enjoy the games, and I can't really enjoy the day if I look and I'm losing like 80%,
Yeah, I get it. I enjoy the sweat part of it, but I'm not one of those people where like they say that, people who have the gambling addictive brains, they almost get as much joy or get as much of a doping kick from the losing as the winning. Mine is like just the joy of like, oh man, there might be a shot to win. And then you realize, oh, I'm boxed out because I don't have this player or that player. I enjoy the ride, but I think for mental health reasons, people who can handle it like Loughy doesn't just not even look. I know Josh, same thing. You won't even check till the next morning. You'll probably be a lot happier if you do that.
You kind of are. Yeah. You say, this guy says, if you look and you're not at the top, you won't be in the running. Yeah. Could not be further from the truth in showdowns. You could be outside of the top like 3,000 with 5 minutes to go and somehow wild stuff. I mean, the swings and showdowns on one play are just insane, dude. Insane.
Yeah. I mean, and frankly, you use the Sims, you'll find a lot of these lineups that do bubble up and they're doing well. And it's like, oh, this is like, last week with the Commander stuff. It's like, I got that from the Sim and it was like a really good lineup. I'm like, shit, I'm in like 20th place and there's nobody blocking me really. And then it's like, oh, the Commander's D didn't hold up. Of course he didn't hold up, but you have that moment where you're like, this could happen. And it's like, it never fucking does.
Right.
It does sometimes, but it really doesn't that often.
No. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging out as always. You're the best. God, Scott Hughes, you guys said 6'7" and my kids just yelled it. All right. Well, on that note, have a great rest of the night. We'll see you back here tomorrow. First Look NFL Strategy Show. Go follow Spags at Chris Spags. Check out everything he's doing. Me at Loughy. By the way, finally got that changed, Spags.
Congrats. I saw that. So it's a big win for you. The brand is strong. Well, who gave it up? Like what happened? Somebody had it and then they
some scumbag in England. What happened? No, Elon's been saying it forever that he was just going to deactivate unused accounts. This guy hadn't tweeted since 2008. He hadn't tweeted since Twitter was brand new.
It's odd they would open it up now, like 17 years later to you, but sure. I mean, it finally got it.
Well, because Elon did it. He basically went in and he just opened up all unused accounts is what happens. And if you look, there's a marketplace now where you can search open handles and then request them. So I did that, requested Loughy and grabbed it. So we'll take it.
Check and see if Twitter /Splash Play is available.
Do you have Twitter?
2009.
Do you have Twitter Premium or do you have,
I do on the Splash Play account. I don't pay for it out of moral.
Then go into your premium and you'll see something there where it's like shop the market, check the marketplace out or something like that.
Oh, okay. I'll have to do that. Pro tips from @Loughy, not Loughy D. Fuck Loughy D. That's dead now.
Yeah, get that out of here, man. Anyway, guys, good night. We'll see you back here. Have a good one and good luck. Bye-bye.